Hey Michael, how are you? Figure this out. Can anyone hear me? Now you can? Perfect.
Yes.
Awesome. Fantastic. As everyone starts to trickle in, just a reminder to please put your program, if you are a rep, please put your program so that we know who's who. Um, and as I mentioned with sending out the agenda, we do have legislation that we'll be voting on later today. So that'll be perfect for when we do our vote. Welcome. We'll probably get situated around 12:05. moving forward, I definitely want to like make a playlist and have some cool background music for when we start to populate in, because it's always so quiet. Does anyone have anything fun they want to say happened?
I guarantee you, you do not want me singing. You just don't.
Fair point, Keegan.
Ooh, go to our arm wrestling competition. I love it.
It's gonna be like WWE, so I have like a character and a manager, and we're both gonna be doctors, but I'm a mad scientist. So what I'm mad about is everyone thinks I'm that doctor, but I'm really not that kind of doctor. So don't ask me to look at your mole. And that's gonna be my character for arm wrestling. It's gonna be cute.
Oh my gosh, I might need to attend that.
I'd watch that.
Nora, are you still DJing too?
I am still DJing, yeah.
Awesome. Cool. It is 12:06. I'm calling the meeting to order. Um, thank you all for attending. I hope everyone had a great week, but also weeks since the last time we all met. So just diving into, I shared the agenda with everyone. I will also share my screen with the agenda as well so that we go through, so that we can run through the agenda and everyone can stay on track where we are. Again, just for formalities and making sure that when we have our legislative votes, when we vote on legislation, that everyone has their program abbreviation, their program name by their name, so that when we vote, we have who's supposed to be voting. Because if you're not a program rep, if you're visiting us today, we're going to put you in a waiting room while the vote takes place, and then we are going to open up the meeting again. But again, please have your program name next to your name. And if I don't really see that as an issue, but if you don't necessarily have your full name, first and last name, please make sure that that's spelled out for us as well. That would be perfect. And then again, just to refresh some of Robert's rules of order, as we go through the agenda, we're going to stay on time, stay on track of where we are. And if anything, if we need to extend, I'm going to call for a motion to extend. If we need to move on to the next part of the agenda, I'm going to call on a motion for that. So anyone that feels obligated to, please make that motion, and then someone will have to second that motion. So that is about it, for the good of the order. So let me share the agenda. Perfect. Everyone can see my screen, correct? Perfect. So for those of you that were here at last month's August Assembly meeting, we went over swearing in. But for those that did not attend last month's meeting, please, we're going to do another swearing in for those that were not present. And with that, just for purposes, if you're able to turn on your camera and raise your right hand, given that time, please do. If not, please use your remote hand. But I'm going to pass it over to Vara to lead us. And I'm also going to have the charge on the screen as well.
Have we switched screens? Okay. Thank you. It'll be great if everyone who has not been sworn in can raise their right hands, switch on their cameras, and you can keep yourself on mute so that we don't have a lot of interference. But let's get started with this. So please raise your right hand and repeat after me the oath of office. In the presence of honored guests and members here assembled, I do so solemnly promise and pledge that I will faithfully execute the duties of the Assembly as a program representative of the graduate student government. To the best of my knowledge and ability, to commit myself to the student government's code of ethics, further the objectives of this student government, to serve my fellow graduate student community through engagement with my constituents and voting according to the preferences of my constituent body. By the authority vested in me by the graduate student government, I now proclaim you duly installed as program representatives and voting members of the graduate student government assembly. Congratulations, guys. Okay.
Congratulations all. It's exciting. Um, so the next, I agree with you, Keegan. I do love a good raised hand emoji. Keegan, correct me if I'm wrong. We need a motion to switch over to the president's address too, right?
Yeah, technically, because Robert's rules is Robert's rules.
Yeah.
We all love Robert's rules, don't we? Yeah.
Perfect. Can I call for a motion to move to the president's address?
Motion to move on to the president's address.
Seconded.
Perfect. Vara, the floor is yours.
Thank you yet again. Okay. So I had a meeting with President Pines and discussed certain things that we were facing issues with that came to my notice. One of the things was that currently the programs are responsible for funding the money for especially abled students, which is sort of disinvestment for them to intake such students and could create biases. For that, I propose that we have like a collective fund in one place, and all the departments, irrespective of if they have students with special needs, need to contribute to it every year. And all the money that will be used for these students will come from the central fund. So that sort of removes the dependency of, oh, if we have any student with special needs, then we need to spend extra money, which will remove that negative connotation around it. So they said that that is something that was done at one of the universities in the past too, and that's something that they want to look into. So I'm waiting for an update from them on that. I'm not sure if they mentioned University of Washington because it was just mentioned one of the universities that one of them went to in the past. So might have been done by multiple universities, but yeah. The other thing is that the event that was organized for the Bangladeshi students, it went really well. Kudos to Keegan for that, for organizing everything. And also, after the event, I had a small chat with Dr. Joshi to understand if there was something that we could do better for the students. He did mention that students were struggling a little bit with their advisors for academics and them not being as sensitive as they could be, which is something that I also brought up. And President Pines has already spoken to the provost. So in my coming meeting with the provost, I will be raising that point up as well. Um, I have also been attending a lot of voting events. So nothing major that came up in that, just the regular voting on stuff like hmm um well, the thesis program for master students does not have one of the options which the PhD program has, which was by fluke of what they typed. But stuff like that, nothing major, nothing that really affects anyone. So yeah, that was all. I'm planning to bring that up to the provost, and I also brought it up to the president about having a mailing list to reach out to all our grad students because we need to be able to reach out to all our constituents. I'm going to get an update on that as well. And I also spoke about the financial independence or at least some leeway for GSG. So, working on that too. There is an unfortunate news as well. A student over the past weekend in undergrad sadly passed away. So, me, Reese, who is the SGA president, as well as Samantha, who is an RHA, we're working together to do something about it. So, currently, the plan was to have one of the days online for students so that the Thanksgiving break sort of gets extended and we get an extended holiday for mental health. Um, but Reese had a meeting with the provost, which I'm yet to have, and faculty is a little opposed to the online day, and so we will be giving an extra mental health excused absence instead of an online virtual day. Also, fall break will be active next year, so that's great, and that's it for my updates.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Madam President. Before I call for a motion to move to, are there any um are there any questions or comments from anyone, any program reps? Nora, and once I call on you, please say your name and your program and then speak. Nora.
Hi, I'm Nora. I use they, them pronouns. I'm in the epidemiology and biostatistics department. I was just wondering if we have heard anything about the College Park housing subsidy for graduate students. I know it closed like 5 days ago. And I was wondering when we'll hear back about how it's been utilized or not.
So I was in touch with the people that sent me the subsidiary program, the link to send it to all of the students, and also to clarify doubts the students had that they emailed me. I will also shoot them an email to get a date, and I can let you all know in the next assembly, or I can just email you personally if that's fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions at this time? Seeing none. I am going to call for a motion to move to the Director of Operations updates.
Motion to move to the Director of Operations updates.
Seconded.
Perfect. Thank you. Keegan, you're up.
Hi, all. I'm probably going to not take the whole 15 minutes. I had hoped to have a full shuttle report done by this meeting, and I will still be talking about the shuttle briefly, but unfortunately, life got in the way. But I'm not going to start with that. First, I'm going to start with a reminder that we are still getting committees set up, and you all should have been heard from Rhea and or your committee chairs already. And if you haven't, let us know, please. But also related to that, sort of a lead-in, we are gearing up to run special elections for vacant seats starting hopefully next week. We have an elections committee meeting later today. The reason why I bring this up is the way we run special elections is typically if we have someone express interest from a program that is not currently represented, then we run a special election. We don't typically run general special elections because we find that if no one has expressed any interest, we just send out a call for nomination and absolutely no one answers, and it's just kind of a waste of everyone's time. So that's why we do the process of if we have any expressed interest, we run a special election. And I mention this because if you know of anyone who would be potentially interested in running for a position, for a representative position, that you think you could talk into running at the very least, please do let them know. There is I'm going to share in chat real quick. We have an interest form that should take them to a form that tells them how they can participate in GSG, and also to enter their program code and if they're interested in running for rep. And that's one of their main ways of contacting them. And I just posted it in chat to everyone. I think everyone should be able to see it. But if you can't find that link or can't remember it, you can also just have them send us an email, and we'll make it happen. But please do let others know, especially if you are in a college or school that has multiple grad programs and you know that you're the only one who's actually representing any of the programs there. Please let your colleagues know that really we do want them to participate, and that would be most appreciated. They probably won't if people start sending me like interest forms today, they probably won't be included in the first round of special elections, which again, hopefully are going to be going out either later today or Monday of next week. But we'll get them in the next wave for sure. So yes, that's that part. So the second part is, as I mentioned, the shuttle program. So I realized that prior to being dropped in the middle of it, I didn't know what the shuttle program was this year. Not really, at least. And I realized I'd been in GSG for 3 years and just didn't know about one of our most important and largest programs. So I want to make sure that's not the case for all of you. So the shuttle program, if you don't know what it is, every summer, usually from late July through mid to late August, we run a shuttle program from Dulles International Airport to College Park. And we do that to bring international grad students who are arriving in the country for the first time to College Park and take out at least that part of having to show up in a strange new country and figure out your way across a large metro area. Because that's not fun under the best of circumstances, let alone when you have 4 giant suitcases and don't know what you're doing. So it's definitely our most popular program. This year we had 500 people take advantage of it, which is an increase of about 100 people from last year. And I wouldn't be surprised if next year it's even more people. And this is great. The shuttle program, in addition to just being a good thing to do, is actually hugely beneficial for GSG, as a large number of people in this room, in fact, right now, I know were first introduced to the shuttle, to GSG through the shuttle program. In fact, I believe, including our president. So yeah, this is a big deal. It's how a lot of people learn about us. It's builds up a lot of goodwill, and it's very important to us that it continues. However, it is a huge amount of work. Basically all on me too. So the director of operations historically has run it solo. Like the student affairs committee approves it, the budget for it and things like that, in consultation with the VPFA, but it comes to me and whoever replaces me to actually run the thing. And typically that means that we start our position in July and immediately have to hit the ground running with our biggest project of the year. So with that all in mind, we're thinking of making some changes to how we do it. And that's why I'm informing all of you. I was hoping to be able to, I wasn't hoping for a vote at this point. That'll be later, but I wanted to start getting feedback and just getting some awareness of it and have you all start thinking about it yourselves. So the way it currently works is we have a nomination or a request form basically where people request a ride, and we have it open for about a month, usually most of July, and then shuttles start going at around this year. It started, I think, July 23rd. Michael, do you happen to remember or Devon? Yeah, like something like July 23rd. Yeah, and we ran it for about a month. We stopped in August 23rd. So one of the proposals is to shrink the window, right? Because that was just so much work for so long. It was basically a month of me working 12 to 16 hours days every single day. And that resulted in no small amount of burnout. And it also meant there was some kind of chaos going on around budgeting and relationships with other departments, including DOTS, and it was a bit of a mess. So rather than having it last for a full month, which also means we had to run shuttles for twice as long as we would, we're thinking of maybe limiting it to 2 weeks in August, and then telling international students well ahead of time that we are going to be running it during these 2 weeks. That would mean that we'd have a higher volume of students arriving at any given day, but we would compensate with that by having a few large buses running basically to pick them up as opposed to a scattering of shuttles and vans and things like that. But that's one possibility. Another possibility is to just degrade the service and only have shuttles at certain times of day, which is not my preferred ideal, but it's something worth mentioning. We are also going to be working with DOTS, the University of Maryland's Department of Transportation, more closely in going into the next year, and we hope to have whoever my successor is onboarded faster, and also just the executive team that replaces us aware of the situation. So I do want to mention, especially if you are hoping or considering running for VP or president or applying for director of operations next year, please definitely do start thinking about this now, because this would be a great way, especially as you're applying for DOO, to something to put into your interview. This would just having great ideas on how to streamline this process would be a great start. So that all said, I am going to have a formal report, but as I mentioned, I was hoping to have ready today. I don't. That I will send out by email, and we can discuss next assembly meeting, which I believe we're actually hoping to have in person for Halloween themed fun, but more on that later. So yeah, I will solicit some more feedback on that, but just be aware that's coming. And my third and final thing is we are going to be overhauling and redesigning the website. So I will be, so basically I'm going to list every single rep's name on the site. If your name that you would prefer to be seen by everyone else in the university on our public website is different than whatever is associated with your email, with your UMD email, please let me know. And I also have everyone check to make sure that their name appears as it appears as I want it to when that's done. But yeah, just as a heads up, I'll be doing that. I'll also be making some more substantial redesigns to the website. And if you have ideas or thoughts on what could improve our site, because I know there's a lot of room for improvement, please let me know, and I will add it to the list. Okay, I think that's it for me.
Does anyone have any questions for Keegan on his report? Swara.
I'm Swaroop from Mechanical Engineering Department. So hey Keegan, first of all, thank you so much for leading the shuttle program. It's very close to my heart, and I wish I could help more. But here's I wanted to understand like because you're facing a lot of issues with the time constraints. So my first question is like how many times a week are we sending out the buses or is it like every day, or how does that work?
It depends on when people are arriving, or at least that's how it worked this year. So it was every single day, at least once a day this year. Sometimes as many as 5 times a day. I should also mention timing is one part, but I forgot to mention this, so thank you for making me remember. The prices went up a lot, a lot, a lot. The price of the large like shuttle buses went up by 400% over last year. So it's a combination of me being overworked to the breaking point, and also we literally cannot afford to run services as we used to. So
Right. So here's a suggestion. Since we'll be telling people like much ahead of their plans, we can keep it to like okay, 2 days a week or 3 days a week, and they can book their flights accordingly because we are telling them beforehand, and that also reduces the workload on us and them. And generally, the international flights that we get are mostly around 2 times in a day. Like there are two
yeah.
major times when most of the flights come in, and we can send out two buses, maybe 2 days or 3 days a week, and that will reduce the workload. I
I agree. It does mean that some people fall through the cracks, unfortunately, because some people are going to arrive like 6 hours before a shuttle leaves. But it is still better than nothing. And if as you're right,
Yeah.
if we let them know well ahead of time, then they can schedule in advance. Hopefully,
Yeah.
I should also mention fun thing. That like one of the shuttle or one of the flights that consistently came from the United Arab Emirates connecting from India was late by 1 to 3 hours every single day. So
Oh.
yeah, so big
Yeah.
aware of that could be
Yeah.
super helpful. Also, fun fact: we had a tornado touchdown near the airport during one of the flights, so that was cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was a very exciting year.
Thanks. Thanks, man. Thanks for me.
Thank you, Swaroop. Any other questions or comments for Keegan?
I see one from Rose, and yeah, to answer that question, so yes, well, sort of. Yes, ultimately, Dots is the one setting the increase, but it was kind of imposed on them by the head of the department because of the fact that they are hemorrhaging money at the moment, as I'm sure you've probably heard, as you've also probably seen from them shutting down bus lines. That was they did it specifically to discourage people from casually using the giant shuttle bus like the coach buses, because they consume a huge amount of gas. And people were doing like, yes, we have 7 people and we're going to put them in a giant bus. So, but still, it would have been nice if we had had some heads up, not finding that out as we were trying to book it.
Thank you for that, Keegan. Any other questions, comments, or concerns at this time? Seeing none. I'm going to, moving along, I'm going to call for a motion to bring up the conversation around committee assignments.
Motion to bring up discussion around committee assignments.
Seconded.
Second and third, sorry.
Perfect, thank you. So one of the things that we kind of, so last assembly meeting, we discussed some of the committees, well, not some of the committees, all of the established committees that are in place. And I know previously we didn't have a full assembly, because we had new members. We had new members join us today as they were sworn in. So that's one thing I do want to have a conversation around joining committees, why it's important to be a part of committees, what a handful of committees actually do, so that we're all able to engage and move the needle a little bit further. Every representative has to serve on at least one committee. And then you can also, please, I encourage you all to take these committees back to your programs. Because all of the committees are open to they're open to non-reps as well. So if there's anything, for example, student affairs, if there's something that you want to work on, but you feel like you need more, I don't want to say muscle, but more bodies, I guess that's the word. Then that's something, certainly encourage friends and other individuals in your program to be a part of. So like I said, we have a list of the committee. The committees are all on the website. And then I believe there's another list in the drive with the committees. I don't want to necessarily, I don't have it pulled up, so I apologize for that. But if you have any questions around committees, certainly let us know. And if you are committed to a committee previously, please communicate that. Please communicate what you want to do with this committee. I know some committees are already starting to meet. So if you have established meetings at this time, attend your committee meetings, because that's where you really make that change. And Michael put in the chat, committees are the way the assembly and the grad community more broadly can set priorities for the year and work to make real change on campus. So the next conversation that we are going to have after that is kind of the direction that we as an assembly want to go, and what we want to hear and what we want to bring forth. But a lot of that gets done. A lot of those moving parts take place in these committee meetings. So again, if you haven't signed up for a committee, please do. Please reach out to us. And if I'm not mistaken, and one of my colleagues on the executive board might be able to tell me for sure, I think some of our committees, or maybe one of our committees, still do not have a chair in place. So the responsibility of the committee chair is basically spearheading the committee, making sure that meetings are being held, bringing forth actionable items. Because we're here to support every single committee at the end of the day. So if you want to make change, if you want to implement something, you do it through the committee, with the support of the entire assembly. So yeah, does anyone else, am I missing anything? Any of my executive team mates, partners?
We may, I don't know if it's feasible to do it right now. We may want to list external committees as well, like external from GSG, that are still looking for reps, because we do have a lot of external partners that are looking for GSG reps, not just executives, because we cannot possibly serve on the 100 some odd committees ourselves. But yeah, I think it might be easiest to send out an email list or something like that, but just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. Thank you, Keegan. And something that you literally just brought up to mind, we will send out something with these committees, both internal and external committees. But I think one of the most, not most, because all of our committees are super duper important, but one of the urgent deadlines for one of the committees, not urgent, I guess is the word I'm going to use. And again, any of my anyone else from the executive board can chime in here, but I think the campus library is currently looking, Michael, am I correct on that? Perfect.
Yeah, so there's a library students advisory group. And they're looking for another grad student to sit on it. I'm the other one. I will say about this committee is that it used to have more power in saying how student fees were spent, but the student library fees were rolled into tuition. So it's literally just like bugging people from the library. That said, like the libraries are hiring a new dean. And so like I was invited to like have meetings with these dean candidates and give my opinion and like put in a little like vote on them. So while it might not be glamorous, if you have strong feelings about the library, then you should definitely join. Or if you know someone who would be interested and has strong feelings about the libraries, then put us in touch.
Oh, go for it.
Sorry. I thought that the other person from should be from GSG as well, as far as I remember.
Oh, okay.
So just wanted to. Also, I have asked like for a few committees, few of them have been graciously filled by you all. Some of them are still left, so please check the GSG group chat on GChat. And I might also just send you all a list of all the committees where and the number of people that we require and details like whether they need to be from GSG or not. It would be great if you guys could volunteer for it so that we're able to give an answer to the people who are bugging us about it. So
Perfect. And I echo Vara's sentiments on thank you for those that did volunteer their time and already committed to some of these both internal and external committees. Nora, please.
Hi, yeah, I was wondering what exactly was this library committee that you were talking about, Michael? And I might be interested in sitting on it, if you could give me the exact name.
Yeah, I put it in the chat. It's a library student advisory. I wrote group, I think it's committee. Yeah, and so basically it came out of the library fee used to have a portion that had to be like voted on by students of how to spend it. That was done away with last year when like fees were rolled into tuition. Across the board with some of them. So basically what it is, meets like once or twice a semester, and either the dean of the libraries comes to the meeting and will either like have an issue, like last time someone wrote in about like how they felt a particular library space was and it wasn't great for them. It's also a place where like if you have strong feelings, you can be like, I think we need to do this.
Yeah, I'd like to be on it. Thank you.
Yay.
Perfect. Thank you, Nora. I also want to acknowledge what Keegan put in the chat. The University of Maryland Police Department Student Committee we participate in with the Student Government Association is also in need of 3 grad reps. Keegan is so graciously saying that he's willing to be one of those reps. It isn't ideal, so if 3 individuals would like to sit on that committee, we would greatly appreciate it. This isn't, if someone is, Michael also said they will be on that committee, but again, we would appreciate if, I don't know if Nora is volunteering Joshua, unless he did put it in the chat. Oh, perfect. But if anybody wants to volunteer themselves, both Keegan and Michael, do you know what I believe it's minimum time commitment, but if y'all know more specifics on that, do you want to share that?
It's not even monthly. I think it's once every other month or something like that. It's actually spearheaded by SGA right now, which is fine because they offered to take it on and they have the bandwidth for it. But yeah, it is not super intensive. Really, it's just to make sure that we as students, SGA is part of it and we're part of it both, so that undergrads and grads have a say in police policy, which is kind of important in my opinion, considering we don't really have a say in whether or not we have a campus police, but we can have a say in how they operate. So it is a pretty important thing, even if you're not a big fan of the police. In fact, maybe even especially then, just saying.
Yeah, to Keegan's point, you have a seat at the table now to say, hey, the police should work in X, Y, and Z format. Again, we don't know if that's everyone's going to listen to that, but you have a say in that kind of conversation rather than
What is the time commitment?
I believe it's about an hour during their meetings. For example, they are unfortunately meeting today, right now, for an hour. So we're missing the first meeting of the semester, but oh well. Hopefully we'll avoid that in the future.
Is it every month or one, like,
I think the plan is it's every other month, but I will double check on that.
yeah, I might have some conflicts on Friday at this time if it's during the not GSG meeting. So, but yes, let me know the times and I might be able to show up.
Okay,
Tentatively.
I will bring up the topic of timing and scheduling with Gannon, who is the VP of the SGA that's running it, and I'll get back to you all.
Perfect. Any other questions about any committees whatsoever? This is certainly open to if anyone has any uncertainty or any questions or they don't know what the local and civic engagement committee does. We're open to these conversations right now, so this is the space to do that. Any questions?
I also wanted to highlight that we're still looking for a chair for exam. So it would be great if somebody could volunteer for it, preferably an international student.
Hi, this is Nyanta. I can be the chair for international student body if I heard that correctly. I'm not sure if I did.
Yes, so that's not GSG committee. You'll be working closely with Ross Lubin for it. I can like send you the details.
That'll be nice. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Perfect. Any other comments or concerns? Seeing none. Nora, and I'm not sure if Naomi's on. I don't want to put y'all in the hot seat, but I did appreciate attending the DEI committee meeting. Would y'all want to share a little bit about how the conversation went today?
I mean, yes, sure, I can. Unless Naomi wants to chime in, let me know. Or if I miss anything. We mostly just, well, we spent some time getting to know each other, because that's nice. And then I went over a little bit about what we had accomplished in previous years and then current projects and opportunities within working within a committee. Do you want me to tell them like more details about like what you can do in a committee?
Absolutely, but also, do you want to share a little bit about what the committee accomplished last year to kind of bridge that both of those together?
Yeah. So last year, we were tasked with better understanding the menstrual supplies on campus for those who menstruate. And we were able to find out that there was a period movement. Sounds sort of funny. There was a period movement, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, where we had a push for free menstrual products. And at one point in time, we had maps of where they were located. And then that map disappeared. We were able to get that map put back on, but not just of where the products were originally located. Now it's where you can find any menstrual product on campus that's free. with the free menstrual product. I can actually, let's see if I can link the, it's a layer on the UMD map website. And it shows where all of the free menstrual supplies are on campus. Under, I think it's campus services, it says the Free Menstrual Products Initiative, and it shows where there should be free menstrual products in all the restrooms across campus, basically, which is pretty cool. I was also able to collaborate with the LGBTQ Equity Center and the Prevention Research Center to start tackling the idea of inclusivity for LGBTQ students on campus at UMD. We're like ranked #1 for LGBTQ friendliness on campus, but that's different than professors being pedagogically sound with how they teach queer students or whatever. So we were thinking getting that funding potentially for the following summer. So I'm working with the 2 other organizations to try and figure that out. So yeah, that's another thing that we're trying to pick up again. So those were the 2 main things. I don't know, Michael, what else? I don't know.
Yeah, I think also established some connections with the University Health Center. And I think that's something else, another external committee, but I can confirm this. But the University Health Center, #1, has lots of resources that I think a lot of grads don't know about. They actually had, I think yesterday, like a resource fair. So maybe some of you were able to check that out. I tried to put that in the chat. And then also getting grad reps onto their student advisory board is something that came out of these meetings with DEI committee last year too.
Cool. I think that's like, yeah, so our meeting was cool. It was fun. You have, I guess what I said was basically like, it's as much as you want to put in or as little as you want to put in. But you can actually, if you get other people to buy into your idea, either through a legislative action or through external collaborators, GSG is willing to support us in following those ideas that better the campus for everyone and for graduate students. So if you know that there's a problem or think there's a problem, we can address it ideally earlier. The more likely we'll have success in addressing it later. So, but yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Nora. Any comments, questions, concerns about the work of the DEI committee or of any committee? Seeing none at this time, I'd like to call a motion to move to the conversation around future assembly topics.
Motion to move to conversation about future assembly topics.
Seconded.
Perfect, thank you. So one of the things, if you're new to GSG, we usually have guest speakers come in to talk about various topics about across the campus, across the University of Maryland. And so before we just bring, of course, our goal is to bring in top level administrators, but there's other individuals across student affairs, across campus life, that we can also extend invites to, say, the Terps Vote Coalition, or say, why am I drawing a blank? The health center, the career center. There's all these different areas that we can bring in to our assembly meetings to bring conversations forth, so that you can bring them back to your programs. So I wanted to open this up as a space to kind of say, what is it that you're hearing in your programs, that you're hearing amongst your colleagues, around what might be some topics that we want to have better information on, better conversations around, library services. These are all things that there's only a set amount of months that we will be meeting. So we want to make sure that we're maximizing our time. We're bringing in the speakers that we believe will benefit from, in the conversations that we're having, in the legislation that we'll be crafting, in the entire direction of this assembly. So I kind of wanted to, we want this to be a free space to share ideas about what you think would be most influential in bringing speakers to the program. Before I open up the floor, I want to acknowledge Rose's chat. Rose says, the Department of Transportation, please. I have many questions about their decision making after their huge fee increase last year. So that is something we will make a note of for certain. Thank you for that comment, Rose. Any other comments, concerns? The floor is open. Nancy.
Hi, everyone. My name's Nancy. I'm from public policy. So I've had some students approach me about graduate assistantships in terms of like, some of them are concerned that they're not getting like the proper like tuition remission or even like the amount of credits that should be covered by the graduate assistantship, as well as like access to like a 20-hour GA or like a 10-hour GA and stuff like that. So I think like maybe bringing in a speaker to address, like, I guess some students have struggled with understanding like their bill and like what goes into like that remission and stuff like that. So maybe a speaker related to that could be helpful.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Nancy. I'm making a note of that. That's definitely something. And there's a few people we could tap into for that. For what is it that graduate student, even like what is it that the policy actually says across campus, and how that impacts people. So we're gonna sit down and think about who's gonna be the expert in bringing up that conversation. So thank you. Sydney.
Yeah, to tag off of what Nancy is saying, I've talked to several of my people, at least in my department. They have more or less explicitly said that the way that they do the funding between a 9-month contract and then if you stay on for the summer for research, the reason that they do that is so that they technically have to pay some of the assistantships less. And I don't know if there's a way, and I know that's department based, not even on a college level, if there's anything on the university level that can be done to like make it consistent, at least on the college level. Yeah, I know that assistantship and funding is kind of a big deal for grad students.
So I can speak to that. Unfortunately, no, it can't be standardized. The University of Maryland is very, very decentralized and weirdly proudly so. Every single school and department handles its own GA ships. There are standard rates, but not how they're handled.
Right, but even on a college level, like, so I'm on like the engineering, so even like the College of Engineering can't dictate to their individual departments how to pay, because like I'm in a lab, we've got different engineerings and we're paid differently based off of the department we're in, and it's just wild.
Oh, I agree with you. It is one of my biggest frustrations. The best I can say is Vara can mention it to the powers that be. We also, as an exec team, will be meeting with the grad school, so it's something we can bring up, and we will.
I can probably just bring it up the next time I'm meeting with the administration, because I do agree with you. It's a little frustrating. We even have it like in GSG, like me and Devon, because we are not PhD students, so we have a different we are processed as a different GAs. I think it's step 3 or something like that. Like there are various steps, even though our program has nothing to do with what we're doing at GSG, but somehow it still gets into all of this, and it's all like administrative shenanigans, to be honest. So yeah, I will probably like update you next time that I speak to them, and then we can take it from there.
Thank you for that, Sydney. Swaroop, I see your hand. I'm just gonna acknowledge the chat real quick. Nora brought up AI and GA training. Joshua said a general GA TARI informational meeting would be very helpful, like how to navigate, how to make the administration understand and work with us, how to get one. Rose said, just putting it out there, it can be standardized if we had a GA contract. And Michael put from the UMD website, step 1 is for first year graduate assistants only. Step 2 is for second year assistants, as well as those students new or continuing or holding a master's degree. And step 3 is for doctoral students officially advanced to candidacy. Swaroop, the floor is yours.
Hey, hi. I'm Swaroop from ENME, and I just wanted to add to this conversation. Actually, I've seen a lot of discrepancies in how much amount everyone is getting paid. There is one baseline that the minimum per hour rates are kind of there. But over that, it depends very much on the department and especially the funding agency. Uh, it's difficult, honestly, to put everything on the same platform and talk about it. However, if there are issues such as tuition remission not happening, those are issues that we can look into. Because there was similar issues happening last year that we knew about, and even though we try, it's going to be real hard to have everyone be paid the same. Because at the end of the day, the computer science majors will get paid more, and because they have high amount of funding. Um, in terms of tuition remission, there are issues with GAAs and not TAs and RAs, as far as I have seen. And I believe we can start making a list of issues specific to which programs these are happening so that we can have a more targeted approach towards these issues. That's all I have to say for today.
Can I cut in? This is Nyanta. I'm sorry my video is not on today. I just wanted to highlight
Nyanta,
that.
can you just state your program as well, please?
Sure, I'm from the English department, so I'm the English rep. I just wanted to bring out this, concern about how widely the pay discrepancy affects the humanities students. So humanity PhDs have, on an average, like about $10,000 less of a package, which can push a lot of this kind of. We've had a rough time. We've had a lot of issues with precarity. Some of the international students have had to live in very um, uncomfortable situations. And I believe that even if we can't do anything about it, I do believe we should raise this concern with the administration. At least there should be some amount of advocacy for this, because otherwise there is no incentive for them to fix this or even try to make some effort to raise concerns, unilaterally for everybody across the board.
Thank you for bringing that up, Nyanta. Again, I want to make a I just want to acknowledge the chat. I'm sure y'all are all better than I am at seeing it. But Blessing did put the eJobs website, because that is places that GA ships are posted usually. So if you specifically are still looking for a GA ship or looking for a better GA ship, or if someone in your program needs a GA ship, please refer to that website. Michael put official policies on graduate assistantships, links to those into the chat as well. Nora brings up a point that Johns Hopkins just got rid of financial aid burden for all their students with a giant grant. It's difficult to compete with that. And then Rose also puts would also like if we can talk to someone from ISSS, as annual recurring issue is their usage of the international student fee and the fact that its existence is incredibly inequitable, multiple issues with ISSS being unresponsive to students with visa crises. Just to make a note of that, and if anyone else from the executive board wants to chime in, this is something extremely important on our radar. So this is something that we're actively working towards, and the work of this assembly is definitely going to go towards that throughout this year. So that's definitely something, and ISSS is certainly someone I'm trying to actively bring in as we speak. Blessing put into the chat, there's differential tuition, so maybe that tuition remission is only based on the standard tuition rate. That is a question to ask when looking at the inequities around tuition remission. And that is everything in the chat. Are there any other questions or ideas that anyone wants to make a note of for us to bring forth in future assembly meetings, or any potential speakers for assembly meetings in the future for this assembly? Nora.
Hi, Nora, epidemiology. I think people from either College Park or Prince George's County to come talk about housing affordability for students would be beneficial. I would like to know, I hope that the College Park housing subsidy for students that live in College Park was successful. I know that the few people that live in College Park that I told about it were very excited about it. And so I want to know what other opportunities we can have for making living near the university more accessible.
That's a great idea. Thank you for bringing that up, Nora. And one thing I want to put a small plug for community development, that committee, but also local and civic engagement. If anyone serves on those committees, these are great initiatives that you can build those connections with, so that we have individuals from the county or from College Park that these committees are specifically spearheading conversations with. They're working directly hand in hand to get the right information. So those are plugs for those committees. And one more thing I want to acknowledge that Michael put in the chat. We were told by one of the housing subsidy College Park Council supporters that they had less than expected enrollment into the pilot program. We pushed it after that, so I hope they ended up getting a lot more. So that is where we are on that information. But as Vara previously stated, that's something we need to follow up with for official information around that. Any other questions, comments, concerns, or speaker suggestions, topics? Seeing none at this time, can I have a motion moving forward? Can I call for a motion for new business?
Motion for new business.
Seconded.
Perfect. So in the agenda, we have two pieces of legislation. And again, I'm going to say it one more time, just in case we still have people. Please put your program name next to your name on Zoom. If you have any questions about changing that, please let me know. But we need to do this to ensure that only reps are voting on this legislation. Because if you do not have your program name by your name, we are going to put you into a breakout room. And so while you do that, on the floor, we have two pieces of legislation. The first, and let me switch my screen so that we can see what it is that we're looking at. Perfect. So woohoo, our first official piece of legislation for the year on the floor. It is an act creating an ad hoc committee during the Graduate Student Government 2024-2025 session for Graduate Research Appreciation Day. For those of you that do not know, we hold a Graduate Research Appreciation Day annually, we as in the Graduate Student Government. So this is pretty standard. There is no standing committee for Grad Research Appreciation Day. So every year we do have to bring forth a floating ad hoc committee to address these concerns, or to not concerns, but to make sure that Grad Research Appreciation Day functions properly. So pretty standard. Keegan, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, other than just to mention that we actually approve a version of this legislation every year, because it makes more sense to have this be an ad hoc committee than have it set in stone as a standing committee and then be committed to running a grad day. We do every year, but we like having the option to not if, a pandemic, say, happens to sweep through the country. And we can't run it. So that's why we do this every year. If you have seen this before because you've been around before, here it is again.
Perfect. Are there any questions, concerns about this piece of legislation? Questions, concerns, ideas? Seeing none at this time.
Are there any downsides to something like this? Like, could there be future potential of increase in fees or stuff like that?
Brandon, could you just state your name and your program real quick?
Thank you. Brandon Rodriguez Torrento, higher ed representative from College of
Perfect.
Ed.
Perfect. And your question was, are there any implications or fees associated with making this committee?
Yes.
No. We do hire a coordinator for the Grad Research Appreciation Day to make sure it runs smoothly, but that is something that we've already budgeted for. We have money already set aside for that said individual. We do have in Michael's wonderful presentation last month, there was information about logistics for the conference. So everything that we already have planned for this conference, we already approved the budget. We already had the budget, the information, all of that. So this specific committee will not impact that at all, any additional finances or nothing like that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions at this time? Cool. Perfect. Before we launch the poll on that, it might take us a second to put non-reps in a breakout room temporarily. So please bear with me while I do this. Okay. Think I'm doing this right. Don't know if I'm doing this right. Keegan, if there's anything you want to help with, this is my first time really designing breakout room, so I'm just gonna hope it's going well. I don't know how I end up in a, how do I put us into a breakout room?
I would recommend not putting everyone else. Just have one breakout room for the 3 people you have selected right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd remove everyone else, unassign them.
So like unassign. So on my end, I only see like a move to option and the only, oh, main session. Hold on, let me move people back to main session then. Can I like close one room? Is there a way to close? No, I don't.
The joys of technology, everyone.
Yeah. Let me invite everyone back somehow. No, no, no. Move to main session, move to main session, move to main session. Keegan, we still have quorum, right? And all that fun, fancy stuff, right?
Yeah,
Perfect.
we're good until we're below 14.
Got it. Oh, this isn't fun. This isn't fun.
Yeah, and we can. There's only so much we can do with guests too, but we'll figure it out.
You're right. You are right. You are right. Oh. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Please bear with me, all that I'm inviting back. I'm no Zoom expert, and that's why hopefully our meeting next month is in person. That is the game plan. So that this goes a little bit more smoothly. And I can talk about that at the end of today's meeting. But again, thank you for your patience. Trying to get through this. I'm not a Zoom expert. I think. Main session. Main session. Main session. Vote. Okay. Everyone back. Is everyone that needs to be back?
I,
Oh. Perfect.
for some reason, it looks like on mine that we still have two people in one of the other rooms, but
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to make sure we're not.
sorry, all learning pains.
Yeah.
It'll be
Thank you
smoother
all for
next
your
time.
patience. I'm going to. Everyone else is back besides the two people. Oh, I think there's one other person. Maybe that's fine. Yeah, I sent the invite. So I'm going to launch the poll at this time. Everyone who's here, everyone here is yeah, everyone here is voting. Who knows that they're voting? Exec advisors know better than to not vote. Yeah, so I will launch the poll. Anyone on my executive team, if you do see somebody that we need that escapes from a breakout room or something, just let me know. But I will launch the poll for, I'm gonna say 2 minutes because I'm also gonna step away to use the bathroom, but I'm gonna launch the poll. So this is for that first piece of legislation. I'll close it once I return in about 2 minutes. I will give it another 30 seconds. in the poll now. And I'm gonna share results. So the act has passed with 100% of the vote. So congratulations. Perfect. And so we are going to open up the second piece of legislation, bring it to the floor. The second,
Just a heads up, I'm bringing the folks back from the breakout room, just so they can hear the discussion and we can move them back out.
perfect, absolutely. Thank you for that, Keegan. And I'll also reiterate that the piece of legislation passed with 100% of the vote. And so while that happens, I want to still sharing my screen. Perfect. So the second piece of legislation, everyone who came back from the everyone who came back from a breakout room, the first piece of legislation, the ad hoc committee, and I'll switch it over real quick. What I'm sharing, the act creating an ad hoc, so Act 1, the ad hoc committee for Grad Research Appreciation Day passed with 100% of the vote. And so we are going to introduce the second piece of legislation. But before we do that, I want to we're going a little bit into the representative forum time. So I want to call for a motion to extend for 10 minutes.
Motion
For-
to extend for 10 minutes for voting purposes.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Perfect. So the second piece of legislation, it's an act creating an ad hoc committee for the review of the graduate student government constitution and bylaws. As we previously mentioned in our last assembly meeting, it is a rewrite year. So I'll just briefly go over the summary, and then Keegan, if you want to add anything, please do. Any other members of the executive team, please feel free to add in as well. But this legislation creates and charges the Graduate Student Government Constitution and Bylaws Review Committee with the review and proposed amendment of the GSG Constitution and Bylaws in accordance with the once per 5 years review and amendment process mandated by Article 8.83 of the GSG Constitution. So this piece of legislation outlines what this committee would be, the members that would make up this committee, and what its purpose will do. So one of the things that this committee has would be 2 co-chairs, 3 currently serving assembly representatives, and 2 non-GSG graduate students, with future additional seats being added at the discretion of the committee co-chairs, in consultation with the graduate student government president. And so this is a committee charged with ensuring that we are up to date in making sure that our constitution and our bylaws are still serving our student body and our assembly in the way that it should be. Keegan, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, so I'll add some context and there's some peculiarities about this bill. That is why definitely very important that everyone actually please do carefully read it. This is something that only happens every 5 years. We do sometimes make amendments to the bylaws in particular between those 5-year review periods, but it is more of an ad hoc process than this is the point overall of this is to, as Devon mentioned, to make sure it's still serving our needs and our purposes, and that our organizing documents actually reflect how GSG runs today, but it is also to clarify sections that need clarifying, correct errors or mistakes. In particular, one of the things we're going to be specifically trying to do is make sure that the Constitution and the bylaws are consistent with one another, because right now there are some inconsistencies between the two, and that is something that does normally happen in an organization like this. But we do want to correct it and be on the right path, as it were. There is one interesting wrinkle to this in that most legislation and most ad hoc committees, when they're formed, the assembly simply votes. Then if there's a requirement for voting on members of the committee, as there is in this one, the assembly would vote on people would nominate themselves, the assembly would vote, and that would be that. In this case, we actually need an extra layer of approval, specifically per the Constitution. Our president will need to personally approve of every member that is nominated and voted upon by the assembly. So this will there'll be a second step after that where I'll basically just ask Farah if she's cool with it. But just be aware that is a thing that's going to happen, and it is unusual, but that's why. I will also say that we are specifically going to be having, as mentioned, 2 people who are not currently serving on GSG as members, and I actually have one of them, one of the people who volunteered is in chat right now, and that's Jillian, our VPLA from last year. We also have Autumn, our president from last year, who has volunteered but isn't able to make the meeting. So I'll be making her pitch on her behalf. We will get to that when we get to that, though. I think for now, unless people have questions or thoughts or language they think should be revised for a floor amendment, we can probably get to the voting.
Motion to vote.
Seconded.
Before that motion, I just want to make sure there's no questions, comments, concerns, or ideas about this act moving forward. Anything? Nothing? Can I just I know Nora, you just motioned. Do you want to motion again just to
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the motion to vote.
Seconded.
Perfect. Thank you. Keegan, do you possibly want to give me a hand so that I don't accidentally send everyone to a private room again?
Sure thing, hold on.
I think we got
Okay. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
I think we got bamboozled again.
Again. God. Okay.
Like, should we jump into the room and launch it, or should we just?
You won't be able to leave this room
Okay.
because it's the main session. I mean, I'll hang out here. I'll hang out here. You go.
Okay. Do you want to broadcast and message all voting members, please return to the main room?
No, it's fine. It's fine. You can go to room 1. I'll stay here.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm already starting to send people back.
Oh, that's fine then. In that case,
Got it. Got it.
someday this won't be chaotic. Someday.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all.
No, it's Zoom. It's Zoom being Zoom.
That's part of the learning curve.
It is.
That's why we're inclusive, because now we still have to let everyone else come in.
Yeah.
Would be
Yeah.
worse if we locked the meeting.
Clearly, this is intentional. Sorry for exiling you all to room 1, by the way. This is just for some clarity onto why this is happening. We usually run this as a webinar, and that is a little more custom tailored to what we're trying to do here. But unfortunately, the UMD's IT desk was a little slow in getting back to us this time. So by the time I got the invite, the approval, it was kind of too late. So that's why we're doing a different format, and it's also why it's slightly chaotic.
Thank you for that clarification. And again, we apologize for exiling y'all to the Zoom world again. But everyone here is supposed to be here, so I'm going to launch the poll.
Actually, it looks like we're missing one person still.
God,
Sloan specifically. Yeah, and unlike in a webinar, we can't just close the room individually,
yeah.
which would be nice, but oh well.
Good thing this is the last thing that we have to do where
Yeah.
a breakout room is required. So I'm going to launch this, and I'm going to leave it open for, again, a minute and a half to 2 minutes. So please vote and don't necessarily go anywhere. Perfect. The poll should be launched. About 20 more seconds. Perfect. So I'm going to end the poll and share results. Act 2, an act creating an ad hoc committee for the review of the graduate student, the GSG Constitution and bylaws, was approved with 100% of the vote. So congratulations, everyone. Once this is finally signed, also I'm going to close the rooms. But once this is signed, we'll begin the stages on formulating both of these committees. So thank you. Perfect. And I'll share it again for the next 30 seconds. As Keegan mentioned, Act 2 did pass. Perfect. Awesome.
And then, of course, as part of the Act 2, we now have to actually do the vote part on the actual members, which means we need nominations.
We're doing that in this meeting, correct?
Yes. Please not, we can't wait. Let's not wait until October, please.
Awesome. So calling for nominations for the 3 representative seats, correct?
Yeah, let's start with the 3 reps from GSG, and then then I will speak on behalf of one of the non-GSG folks, and the other non-GSG person can speak for herself. But yeah, let's do reps first. So again, we're looking for 3 people right now. We may expand this later, so if you're interested, but you're not sure you want to commit just yet, that's fine. But we are looking for 3 of you to volunteer to be part of this committee. And I'm also happy to answer more questions about time commitments, responsibilities, that sort of thing, if you have them.
Yeah. And the important thing about this committee is it's all about accountability and making sure that for the next 5 years that it sets the tempo for the laws and the rules and the regulations that future assemblies follow, at least for the next 5 years.
I will also add that this is a pretty uniquely important position to hold, because you really will have direct say on how our bylaws are structured and any changes you want to see. And I think, in my opinion, there are quite a few changes we should probably be making. So yes, if you want to do something meaningful and add to your legacy, if you will, this is a very good way to do it. I will also add, while I'm talking, this will be like a standard committee for the most part. We're going to be meeting monthly for about an hour. There may be periods of time where we meet for more than that, special meetings, especially near the end, because by the time we get to the end of this of 2025, and we actually have to send this to vote, we need to actually come up with a report of proposed changes and revisions. So that will probably take a little more time, but for the most part, it'll be a standard committee. I will also say that we'll be working very closely with the governance committee, which we will be spinning up probably next meeting in October, because the governance committee is in charge of all constitutional and bylaw reviews. Basically, so we will be submitting our proposed changes to the governance committee. The governance committee checks it for constitutionality, and if they're satisfied, then it goes to the assembly floor to vote, or to the general student body for vote if we're changing the constitution. So that's how that works. And those are some of the pertinent details. And with that said, do we have any nominations? You can nominate yourself. Please do. Yeah, Nora, it's a pretty standard committee. Probably be 30 minutes to an hour a month, although that can be flexible, especially if you can do stuff by email. Yeah, it'll be wrapping up before the end of our session because we need to have stuff ready to be sent out for voting. But yeah, it'll probably be until March, I would guess, is probably when we'd end things. Okay, we have one nomination. And that is for Nora. Which means, I guess, Devon, do you want to do individual votes, or do we want to have 3 nominations and then vote on all 3? That might be the easier way.
And then vote on all 3.
Yeah, okay. 1 nomination, we need 2 more.
I'll nominate myself.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And then 1 more. 1 final person who is willing to help revise our bylaws and constitution. Yeah, absolutely. We can do a lot of this remotely and as well. Like, the meeting is more just, I will need you to be engaged and actually respond to emails and things like that, because it's a pretty important one. But it's not like you are contractually bound in blood to to show up at every meeting for a full hour and then extra meetings or whatever like that. So right, same. Yeah, that too.
Egan, I know there's, with some members not being present and some proxies being in, should we, if we can't get a 3rd person at this time, do you want to follow up on an email today?
We will,
about this?
yeah. We could probably do a remote vote as well. The thing is, we do need an actual full assembly vote for
Yeah.
every member. So I see Nancy raised a hand.
Nancy.
Yeah, I'll nominate myself.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so there's our 3. Let's do the vote for that first, and then we'll bring our guest back and have Jillian speak for herself, and then I'll give Autumn's pitch. If that works for you, Devon.
That works perfect.
Cool.
I just hope we get it right this time, sending people in and out.
Let's hold on a second. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna delete room 1 just entirely. Oh,
You can
Jillian.
send us to the waiting room if that's easier instead of setting up.
Oh, good point. But I think we have it fixed because there's now only 1 breakout room, not 2 for some reason. So we're gonna try this again. Okay,
So it's
there we
just
go.
cool.
That worked. Hey,
Awesome.
third time's a charm. Yeah, all right. So
Do we just want to?
we could discuss or we could just vote if people feel pretty comfortable with like, it's not like we had a lot of choices here.
Yeah. Does anyone else want to throw their hat in the ring, or any comments, questions, concerns?
We'll
Are you
move the people who
guys-
nominate themselves into the room before we actually vote. This is just for the discussion.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions around what this committee is actually going to do, or what committee members will be charged with? Nothing.
Okay, in that case. Oh,
No.
Nora.
Yeah, I have a question. What, I mean, I guess I understand we're being charged with reviewing the bylaws in accordance with also the president and the rest of the executive committee. Is that?
Yep. Yep.
Cool. All right, thank you.
And also presenting our suggestions and findings to the assembly throughout the year. Culminating in a final report. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, in that case, I guess we should probably move people.
Perfect.
Okay, let's move our nominees.
Nancy, Nora, and Sydney, correct?
Yes.
Got it.
Here we go. Okay.
Perfect. Let me create this poll real quick.
Or 3 polls or 1. I don't know. However you want to structure it.
I'm gonna call it bylaw review committee members. Choice
I-
1.
I was gonna say, can we have a drop down or like multiple choice on this type
Yeah.
of? I don't know. Okay, there you go.
Awesome. One more. Oh, thank you for your patience with this process. Show as drop down. Multiple choice. Perfect. Amazing. Beautiful. Save. Hopefully this comes up the way it is. I'm gonna save this now. I'm gonna launch it now as well. If it doesn't look like it makes any sense, let me know. So I just opened it, just launched it.
Looks like it's working. That's good.
Just a clarification question. We're voting on who the members will be, and there can be up to 3 members, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So in this case, all 3 will likely be members unless no one selects their name.
Right.
Thank you.
Yep.
This is Brandon with the College of Ed, by the way. Sorry, higher education program.
Appreciate it. And yeah, we'll also be doing this one more time for the non-GSG members as well.
Perfect. I'm good to go to close it, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Perfect. So ending poll, sharing results. So congratulations to the three. I know they're not in the room, but
And
they
also, Vara, we actually this is the extra step. Vara, do you approve of these three nominees?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Okay, I'll bring them back then.
perfect. I'm gonna stop share. We're just gonna congratulate them. Move it over. I'm going to call for once everyone's back, I'm gonna call for a motion to extend this, Keegan, 5 minutes.
Yeah, maybe 10, just to be on the safe side.
Okay,
Motion
then-
to extend by 10 minutes.
cool.
Do we have a second? For those who are coming back, we're trying to
Yeah.
extend by 10.
So Brandon motioned. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Perfect. Congratulations, Sydney, Nancy, and Nora. You all have a very important role as being members of the bylaw review committee. Congratulations.
And with that, I think we can introduce our one current non-GSG guest member, Jillian. And Jillian, if you could introduce yourself and say why you're interested in being on this committee.
Hi, everyone. It's so great to sign on to a GSG meeting today. My name is Jillian. Last year, I'm currently a PhD student in the Department of Government Politics. I know many of you because last year I was Vice President of Legislative Affairs for Graduate Student Government, and the year before I was the Government Politics Representative. So happy to see Devon and Sloan carry on those roles respectively. Yeah, so I'm really interested in serving on this committee because I definitely want to stay involved with GSG. I've needed a little bit of a break, so that's why I didn't want to be involved in other roles this year. So I think this was a role that would be really great for being able for me to use my previous time and experience with GSG to stay connected, while also a time commitment that I think is a lot more manageable for me. It's an election year and I'm a political scientist, so and I think having a bit of the distance from last year, coupled with the experience, will help me contribute kind of what I think works well in our current constitution, what I think could be revised. So I really hope that you all trust me to serve on this committee. It's something I am very excited about and I'm looking forward to if I am voted to the committee.
I will then also mention that Madam Perky was our president last year. She is not able to be here, but she volunteered to be on the committee and lend her very extensive insight. She was with GSG for 3 years when she ran. Well, I think her presidency year was her 3rd year. But yeah, she is also fantastic. As the president of last year, she obviously has a pretty deep understanding of how our organization works and how it doesn't work as well, and what needs to be changed. And I think she'd be a great source of diversity of opinions. Now, here's the next slightly awkward part. I can't nominate either Jillian or Autumn because I'm not a voting member of the assembly. So if we have anyone who'd be willing to first nominate Jillian and then second that, that'd be great. And then Autumn.
I would be happy to nominate Jillian for the position.
Thank you.
And I would like to second that.
Awesome.
I would like to nominate Autumn for the position.
And I'll second that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, I guess it's time to banish, unless there's any questions. Okay, wow.
I do want to say it's good to see Jillian.
It's good to see y'all too.
Like a fun little guest star appearance.
It's fantastic.
I feel like when you graduate high school and then you go back to visit your teachers and it's really, really fun. That's like the vibes I'm getting right now. I'm having a great time.
By the way, Nora, Nancy, and Sydney, we're gonna banish you and then re-summon you back. Sorry. It's just easier that way.
Speak on, correct, Keegan?
Yeah, I'm bringing them back now. The three that are no longer needing to be excluded anyway. There we
Got it.
go. Okay, good. We are good to go.
I'm gonna make this thing real quick. Keegan, just confirming we still have quorum for this vote.
I think barely. Because we had two people drop from last time. So yeah, I mean from last meeting. So I think we were at barely at. Please don't leave, folks.
Please, and I'll address that at the end of this meeting. I'm launching it as quick as possible. Hopefully y'all have it right. Loading, launch. Y'all should be good to go. Keegan, are we good to go, or do I need to wait another 20
I think
seconds?
we're good, considering how people are dropping.
Perfect.
Yeah, most people vote anyway.
So I'm gonna end the poll. Share results. Congratulations to Jillian or Vara. Do you accept these two nominations?
Yes.
Perfect. Congratulations to Jillian and Autumn. Keegan, shall we bring them back? Well, shall we bring Jillian and others back?
Yeah, close the rooms.
Perfect.
Imagine what happens if I randomly give in to my intrusive thoughts and yell out no.
Yeah, in theory, you could be like, no, and in fact, here are 17 people I just decided I like, and they're going to be in the position instead.
So weird.
Chaos.
Yep.
Everyone's back. Perfect. Congratulations, Jillian and Autumn. I know Autumn is not here, but we look forward to having y'all back with us for bylaw review, bylaw and constitution review. Congratulations.
Yeah, and we'll be in touch about first meetings and the like. I will try to send that out this weekend. It's my goal. So look for an email.
Perfect. And then the last thing, and I know it's 1:59, essentially 2 o'clock now, so if individuals need to drop, but I'm going to call for a motion to move to representative forum.
Motion to move to representative forum.
Seconded.
Perfect. And I was hopeful that we used the space for open discussion for a lot of these conversations, but again, I do want to grant this space for any representative conversations. But before people drop, I do want two small notes I want to add. The first is it's important to let us know in advance if you cannot be here and send a proxy in place of you. Because even with things like voting purposes, we do need to know who's attending these meetings. And if we need to reschedule our meetings, that also comes up. So thank you for those that are still here and stayed the whole time. We know this is a strenuous task that takes up 2 hours on a Friday. But this is important to the work that we do. So please, number one, please communicate if you are not going to attend, and please have a proxy if you're not attending. And then the other thing, I think that I was going to bring up was if you feel so comfortable and if you're in a space to turn on your camera, please do. I know that's something I always Brandon, for those that aren't familiar, a proxy is someone in your program that's going to stand in place of you because you cannot attend the assembly meeting. So that's the role that a proxy would serve in. Before everyone goes, please, yeah, the same exact program. It could be a doctoral student from the program, a master's student, but they have to be in the same exact program. The other thing I wanted to say, please continue joining committees. Please share committees with other people in your program. And then the last thing, if you feel comfortable, feel free to turn on your cameras during assembly meetings. It's always good to see familiar faces. It's always good to have those conversations and engage with one another. I know right now there's 6 of us with our cameras on, so it feels like I'm talking to individuals, but if there was only one person, it's almost like who's out there into the abyss. But everyone, thank you for joining, and I'm opening the floor up to Representative Forum. And I know we're over time, but I plan on saying for any concerns, any ideas, anything that anyone wants to address. Thank you.
Motion to say something. I don't know if I have to do that. Brandon, College of Ed, higher ed rep. I am wondering if we can talk about the in-person meeting you mentioned earlier today, Devon.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's one, and I'm going to bring this up more so with the executive team, and then finalize the details with everyone. Because right now in our calendars, I think we have it for October 18th, that Friday from 12 to 2. I know right now I'm specifically unavailable for an in-person, but October 25th, the following Friday, I'm definitely available. So I just speak with the executive team to confirm that we can switch to October 25th. And then it'll be from 12 to 2. Probably it will be in STEM. But it's just a matter of where the space is. I know it could be the Hoff Theater, it could be the atrium, it could be the Prince George's Room. It's just a matter of what's available when we finalize the date specifically. But it'll still be 12 p.m. And if it's definitely in person, just leave October 25th open in your calendar from 12 to 2. We're strongly advising for everyone to attend in person, but we'll still allow hybrid flexibility for accessibility purposes.
Although just to mention like that we will have that, but if everyone decides just to stay home, that's actually the meeting won't actually work very well. Because the option we're having for hybrid is going to be designed for like a handful of people, not 30 some odd people. So please do show.
Yeah. And please let us know in advance if you need that accessibility Zoom format, because then that's for voting purposes and all of that, proxy, whatever. It'll be easier. To Michael's point, we do want to make it a little bit fun and festive, so please wear a Halloween costume. That's again, this is something once we finalize the details, we would love to make it a little Halloween costume themed. But you'll get an email with all of this information. But that is the plan. Make it fun a little bit. Enjoy it.
Imagine Pennywise saying motion to vote, you know. And that was a very bad impression of Pennywise, but you get it.
Sydney, fair enough. Yeah, as soon as we've confirmed, I'll be scheduling as soon as I'm able to, basically.
Awesome. Any other conversations? So I'm going to call for a motion to end this meeting. Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Motion to
Sec-
adjourn?
Seconded.
Perfect. Awesome. And if there's anything that anyone wants to talk about, like I said, I'll be here for the next 5 minutes or whatever. Everyone's free to go. Nora, if you want to bring up the flyer that you shared with me, certainly do it. But we're here to help.
Thank you, Devon.
Of course.
That's so metal, Nora. I'm so for this.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
October 4th, if y'all didn't have anything to do, you do now.
Do now.
I suppose actually, since we do have most of our execs here, in fact, all of them, we good for moving it to the 25th? Yeah,
What time?
same time, 12 to 2.
Yep.
Okay, that works for me. I will schedule that today then, if unless we have any objections.
Just whenever whoever sends the email to all the reps, just let them know to let you all know in advance if they're not coming. Otherwise, it could be.
Yeah. Quorum was barely maintained today, so yeah, it's
Yeah.
important.
That's something. Rhea, are you here right now?
Yeah.
Did you happen to catch attendance?
I got a few of them down, but not all of them.
Okay. Yeah, and we have it recorded, so we can always go
Yeah, I
back
can go
and-
back and check for sure.
Perfect. Because I know that's something I want to certainly have like an attendance sheet.
Yeah, okay. I can
which-
do that from the next meeting.
Perfect. Because
And all
I'm
the
curious.
co-hosts are recording this to the cloud, their own cloud access. So you all can take a look immediately before I upload it.
And this goes on the YouTube channel, correct?
It does, yeah. I'll be
Yeah,
putting
so
it
I
up
can
today.
just go back and check the attendance and then I'll get a spreadsheet for you by the end of the day
Yeah,
today.
I mentioned that we all have it on our own cloud streaming,
Oh,
just so
okay,
just because it's easier to switch views and see who's there. You can do it with YouTube. It's just a little more painstaking. So
okay, cool.
And don't
check it
stress
out.
that I know that's something I want to not enforce. I guess enforce is the word, but kind of let people know, because if they haven't attended August and they aren't attending September, what are they doing is the question we need to
Yeah,
ask.
I agree with you.
Yeah, well, at that point, it might be time to run another election. So anyway, okay, I gotta go get medicine from a pharmacy. So see y'all.
Perfect. Keegan, always good to see you. Thank you for all your help today.
Cheers.
Yeah. And I'll see you this afternoon, I think.
Yeah, soon.
Hey, elections committee, see you this afternoon.
See you then.
This afternoon.